Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Nolin Ebel Ame, and my sign language interpreter is Courage Ogeriahi. And now the headlines. President Tinubu commends Nigerian Governors Forum for supporting tax reform initiatives. Players in petroleum industry meet to formulate policies and resolve emerging concerns. Plus, Iranian president visits Moscow to renew ties with Russia. And now to the news. President Bola Tinubu expresses appreciation to the Nigeria Governors Forum following their unanimous endorsement of the 4 tax reform bills currently under consideration by the National Assembly. In a statement, President Tinubu lauds the governors for their bold leadership and commitment to fostering unity among leaders nationwide, transcending regional, ethnic and political barriers to advance Nigeria's development. It adds that Thursday's productive consultation between the Nigeria Governors Forum and the Presidential Committee on Tax and Fiscal Policy is a commendable example of cooperation between the federal and state governments. The President extends special commendations to the chairman of the Governors Forum, Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak, for successful galvanizing support among his peers for these transformative tax bills to rejuvenate the national economy and enhance Nigeria's investment climate. He also commended the Progressive Governors Forum, the Northern Governors Forum, and all other groups that made the bipartisan resolution of the controversy steered by the tax bills possible. President Bola Tinubu expresses profound sadness over the passing of Adeumi Oriomi Onanuga, the Deputy Chief Whip of the House of Representatives and member representing Ikenesha Gamuremo North Federal Constituency of Ogun State. On behalf of the federal government, President Tinubu offers his deepest condolences to the Onanuga family, loved ones, the government and the people of Ogun State, particularly her constituents. He prays God to grant the soul of the departed eternal rest and comfort her family and all who mourn her loss. The deceased lawmaker served as chairman, House Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development in the 9th Assembly and Deputy Chief Whip of the 10th Assembly. To the judiciary now, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has reaffirmed Julius Abure as the national chairman of the Labour Party, upholding its earlier verdict in November 2024. The appellate court held that its verdict, which recognized Abure as national chairman, subsisted and has not been set aside by any court. A 3-man panel of justices led by Justice Hamabarka made the declaration while delivering judgment in 2 separate appeals filed by Caretaker Committee Chairman of the Labour Party and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The appellate court in the 2 separate appeals held that it did not delve into the issue of the leadership of the Labour Party because issues outside jurisdiction amount to a nullity.
This court decided that the national chairman of Labour Party remains Barrister Julius Abure. The court in this judgment, the 2 judgments delivered today, has affirmed that decision and said that that is the issue of leadership and that 2 appeals today cannot determine the leadership because it originated from a decision of the court that did not have jurisdiction.
The court agreed with us that indeed that the action at the lower court revolves around the leadership of a political party, and indeed it was not justiciable. So the court struck out the action at the lower court.
And elsewhere, the Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, has described as false the rumor that the third mainland bridge is shaky and defective. In a statement, the minister said the maliciously orchestrated rumor is aimed at undermining the confidence reposed on the works sector of the renewed hope administration by Nigerians. The ministry has also deployed a team of engineers led by the Federal Controller of Works in charge of Lagos State, Olukorede Kesha, to inspect the entire length and width of the 11 kilometers bridge. The statement therefore urges members of the public to disregard the false rumor making the rounds on the state of the third mainland bridge. On security, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Gbetokun, has clarified that the budget presentation of the Nigeria Police Force at the 2025 Budget Defense Session was a summary of the same figures already contained in the proposed budget for the force. The IGP made the clarification while addressing the drama that unfolded during the budget defense session. He emphasized the persistent challenges facing the police in fulfilling its constitutional mandate. He notes that inadequate financing, the restrictive envelope budgetary system, and delays in the release of allocated funds continue to hinder the effective operation of the force.
There is nothing different in it. The figures are the same. The facts are the same. Nothing is different. Maybe because it is a summary, the language of presentation can be different. The delay in fund releases and sometimes incomplete releases of funds appropriated to the police. Last year, we fought to take police out of the envelope budgetary system. We couldn't achieve that. But thanks to Mr. President, who came to our aid in the course of running the year. Otherwise, we won't have been able to achieve all the things that you see us achieving in 2024.
Gbetokun also highlighted the critical need for a more flexible and timely funding mechanism to enable the police to address pressing security concerns across the nation. He noted that while the force strives to maintain law and order, financial limitations remain a significant setback in achieving optimal performance. The ambassador of Cape Verde to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Bilarimino Monteiro Silva, and the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Aliu Torre, have met in Abuja to receive cooperation between Cape Verde and the regional bloc. Aside the payment of the community levy by Cape Verde to ECOWAS, Bilarimino Monteiro Silva also briefed the Commission of the current state of the Cape Verdean economy, the peaceful conduct of municipal elections in 2024, and the holding of legislative and presidential elections in Cape Verde in 2026. He also announced the forthcoming launch of the activities of the ECOWAS Early Warning Center in Praia and the recent launch of the Praia-Dakar-Banjul Maritime Link for an experimental period of 6 months. ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Aliu Omar Torre expressed delight at the development in Cape Verde and pledged the regional bloc's continued support to the country. The Petroleum Industry Stakeholders Forum is important for critical stakeholders in oil and gas to review the status of the industry, formulate policies, galvanize industry support, and resolve emerging concerns. Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Henekin Olokbobiri, said the forum will aid speedy resolution of issues by policy making and regulatory bodies, thereby helping to mitigate disputes and deepen cooperation among stakeholders. Lydia Sampson reports.
Convened by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, industry players say the forum, which held behind closed doors, will consolidate ongoing efforts to drive business growth and stimulate much-needed investment in the sector.
The real issue is to bring, a forum, to create a forum where the leadership of the oil industry will be together to discuss issues affecting the oil industry. Just like you have the bankers committee, you have, the capital market committee that sits from time to time to address issues concerning those sectors. That's essentially, the whole issue,
The industry players are on the same page with the minister that the forum is chronicling a new approach to the sector.
The key takeaway is a great first start, and I hope, and I'm almost sure, that we will continue this to truly make this whole industry, the whole industry from upstream, midstream and downstream, to great benefit of Nigerians.
We are independent petroleum marketers, and shortchanging anybody is not part of our policy. We normally sell 1 liter as 1 liter. We don't shortchange anybody. Remember that we are indigenous Nigerians marketers, and we help our brothers.
The forum, which attracted captains of industry across the country, is expected to hold regularly as scheduled by the key players. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says a new treaty with Iran will further strengthen ties between both countries. This, he pointed out, after hosting Iranian leader in Moscow just as Lebanon's new president receives French President Emmanuel Macron. Kolo Mohammed has the details.
President Masoud Pezeshkian of Iran arrived in Moscow on Friday for high-profile talks with Vladimir Putin, his Russian counterpart, solidifying an alliance between two countries driven by a mutual desire to challenge perceived global enemies. Ahead of the signing of a new treaty, the two leaders held talks describing the new partnership as strategic, involving defense cooperation that is needed by both countries, which analysts say will worry the West. The Iranian president, on his first Kremlin visit since winning the presidency last July, said he thought the two leaders might be able to finalize an agreement on building a nuclear power plant in Iran with the help of Russia. He laid flowers at the eternal flame in Russia. In other news, French President Emmanuel Macron is among the first major international leaders to visit Lebanon's new president. Macron's visit comes just 8 days after the presidential election that saw Aoun fill a position left vacant for 2 years as a result of political power struggles and divisions. The French presidency said that it will support Lebanon to consolidate Lebanon's sovereignty and maintain its unity. In one of his first official acts, the new Lebanese leader tasked prominent diplomat and head of the International Court of Justice, Nawaf Salam, to form the country's new government. Salam's designation as prime minister is reportedly also a diplomatic victory for France, which backed his nomination. The move has, however, angered the Hezbollah group and its allies. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
Kolo Mohammed also reports that authorities in South Africa are facing growing anger over a standoff with illegal miners trapped in an abandoned gold mine as the death toll rises.
Authorities in South Africa may face investigation over their initial refusal to help the miners and instead cutting off their food supplies. The miners are suspected to have died of starvation and dehydration, even though the cause of their death have not been made official. Community groups launched rescue attempts when authorities said last year that they will not help the hundreds of miners because they were criminals.
From our side, we are complete with the operation, but I think it's something which will be determined between ourselves and the authorities and also the DMRE that have requested us to come and assist them. But for now, since there's no bodies and we came back 12 hours after the operation has been completed to make sure there's nobody, for now we're going to move away from the site at this point in time.
We were informed by the volunteers that went underground that they have satisfied themselves as part of the rescue plan that there are no longer people alive or corpses that are still underground to be extracted.
The tactic to smoke them out described by a prominent cabinet minister was condemned by one of South Africa's biggest trade unions. Police and mine owners are also accused of taking away ropes and dismantling a pulley system the miners used to enter the mine and send supplies down. The court ordered authorities last year to allow food and water to be sent down to the miners, while another court ruling last week forced authorities to launch a rescue operation. The chief executive of the Miners and Rescue Operations Service hailed the rescue and recovery operations as the world's first with a unique machine that was designed and developed in South Africa by the mining industry. Many say the unfolding disaster underground was clear weeks ago when community members sporadically pulled decomposing bodies of the miners, some with notes attached, pleading for food to be sent down to survivors inside the mine. Authorities say nearly 2,000 miners were working illegally in the mine near the town of Silverton, southwest of Johannesburg, since August last year. Kola Muhammad, NTA News.
You are watching the news on NTA International. More reports when we return. Thank you for staying with us on NTA International News and still talking health. The struggle to restore dignity and hope to women suffering from vesico-vaginal fistula in Nigeria is gaining momentum with the NTAi Free Fistula Program. Steering committee of the program met with the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, to brief him on the progress of the initiative. Uche Ugochukwu reports.
Fistula, a health issue in Nigeria affecting many women due to limited access to quality healthcare and poverty. To address this challenge, the National Health Insurance Authority Fistula Free Program Steering Committee, chaired by the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, was set up. This meeting is to provide updates on the progress of the program, which was launched with a pilot project across 4 facilities and has since been scaled up with the signing of MOUs with about 42 facilities.
It's important to provide holistic support, and for us that means not encroaching beyond our mandate. It means that we have to leverage existing infrastructure. We'll continue to drive more quality improvements, ensuring reintegration into society and promoting health insurance uptake so that they can access health services for other things.
The progress is not without obstacles. Need for more collaboration, awareness about fistula, capacity building for experts, and addressing the challenges of IVF complications are among the many.
Nigeria has among the highest levels of numbers of experts who can do level 3. So with the 15 that are currently being trained, you see that we're already increasing the level 3 expertise by 500%. We write to NDE, invite them to a discussion on their link to the fistula-free program, so that they connect with where this is, so they can have skill acquisition that we can provide to these women.
With needed support, the program is expected to reduce incidence of fistula and improve the lives of thousands of women across the country. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
In another development, Nigerian Office of the Wildlife Conservation Society of the United States of America has facilitated a vaccination exercise for 12,000 domestic livestock owned by the grassroots communities of Yankari Forest in Bauchi State. The one-month exercise is aimed at controlling the transmission of 2 major killer animal diseases to humans. Muazu Hassan has more on this.
Bovine pleuropneumonia, known as BPP, is a highly contagious disease affecting cattle which spreads through direct contacts, while foot and mouth disease is a viral disease affecting cloven hoof animals. This vaccination exercise by the Wildlife Conservation Society of Nigeria at Gajindugure village in Alkaleri local government area is a strict biosecurity measure for control and outbreak prevention of the two major animal diseases in the country.
Last year, we won a grant by U.S. Wildlife Fish to vaccinate 12,000 cattle in communities surrounding the game reserve. And this vaccination is, we target two major preventable disease, foot and mouth disease and CBPP.
The CBPP is yearly. Every 1 year you can revaccinate. But the foot and mouth, at least you are supposed to repeat at least after 6 months. After 6 months you repeat, so that the animals will be protected. So you cannot achieve herd immunity until you keep on vaccination on and on and on in a particular settlement over a period of time. And that's why the WCS, the target is to continuously vaccinate this cattle around Yankari for at least 3 to 5 years.
The 1-month vaccination exercise by WCS will not only protect domestic animals and humans, but also provide economic security and proper prevention of animals living in the famous Yankari forest. In Bauchi, Moaz Hassan, NTA News.
And talking food security, the federal government is intensifying efforts to transform the agricultural sector into a key driver of national development and food security through optimum utilization of dams for all year-round farming activities. Permanent Secretary, Ecological Project Office, Aisha Tugogo Ndayoko, disclosed this during a stakeholders' engagement on the Kano irrigation projects covering Tiga, Chalawa, and Kafinchiri irrigation projects. Awal Salihu has the details.
The Kano irrigation projects play a vital role in the production of food and ensuring provision of water for agricultural activities in northern Nigeria. However, the growing environmental concerns necessitated the ecological project of the federal government to assess the impact of these irrigation projects to improve their capacity and guarantee protection. To ensure optimum utilization of the selected dams in Kano and beyond, the Ecological Project Office engaged stakeholders on the progress, challenges, and its ecological effects.
The expectation is we are going to have an increase in the number of hectares, and by so doing, we are going to have a multiplier effect. The number of farmers will equally increase.
We are also going to be involved in the soil health management and fertility system so that we can teach them the best agronomic practices in order to have good yield of whatever they are producing.
Design have been done with regard to the distribution canals and the field canals. So we have carried out all the analysis for the flow of water to all the sectors.
Most projects, what they do is we don't concentrate about the social impact and the social assessment of the EIA. But with this one, the PAMSEC was so decent about the impact. What is the impact of this project to the locals?
The focus was not only on optimizing irrigation for agricultural productivity, but also on minimizing the environmental consequences of large-scale water use. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Still talking environment, to curtail the menace of noise pollution within the Federal Capital Territory, the National Environmental Standards Regulations and Enforcement Agency, NESRIA, has moved to wield the big stick on the defaulters. Correspondent Mina Daniels reports that civilian garden located in Nasarawa State was the agency's first port of call this new year.
Located within a residential area at Abuja Road, Mararaba, Nasarawa State, is Civilian Gardens, a relaxation center reportedly notorious for noise pollution. According to Dr. Innocent Bariko, the Director General of NESRA, who spoke through the Director, Inspector and Enforcement, Dr. Christopher Becker, upon reports and several notification and interaction which yielded no results, the facility was sealed up.
Imagine the fact that this is behind your house. You can't sleep. You can't have a good rest, which actually your homes are supposed to be. We investigated the complaint and found out that the noise that was happening within that garden, is an event garden, was far above the regulatory limits. Before the place is unsealed, the issues have to be abated.
The agency stated the commitment of NTAi towards ensuring Nigerians enjoy a high quality of life through effective environmental regulation and enforcement, promising that more enforcement exercises will be underway in all the states of the Federation. In Abuja, Minna Daniels, NTA News.
Next is a check on Saturday's weather prospects for Nigeria and some cities of the world. The weather report there concludes the news at 7 on NTA International. Thank you very much for watching. I am Nolin Ebel Ame, and my sign language interpreter has been Courage Ogeriahe. Good night.